Hey everyone, this is Kate Weatherwise, your favorite weather girl, coming to you on Thursday, January 15th. This is the January 15th edition of the Weather Outlook. We are taking a look and building on what I posted yesterday, forecasted yesterday, because, the weather is ever changing, so you need to update it on the daily, sometimes on the minute. So let's just get started so I don't make this too long. We're going over to the satellite imagery with radar enhancement, and you see that system that was over here in the mid-Atlantic and the Midwest down into the southeast yesterday has now pushed off the coast. I'll bring this over here. You can see that it has taken with it all of the moisture, but now in its place is those lake effect snow bands that have set up for northwest lower Michigan, for southwest lower Michigan, over into Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, and all the way up for all of you who generally see the lake effect snow kick in when the winds are out of the northwest. And if you look up here to the north, this is a system that there's a low pressure system that's way up here out of screen, and it's bringing all of this southwesterly winds into the low, and it's bringing down all of that colder air from Canada with those winds. And I'll show you here in a minute. There is a high wind watch and lots of high wind warnings for Montana all the way down into Oklahoma, where in Oklahoma, there's a fire weather watch and a red flag warning for the panhandle of Oklahoma. So that means it's really dry and it's a little bit warm with these warmer winds coming in from the south. So it's pretty warm here today, and it's dry and it's windy. So that's sort of the recipe that is needed to put out a red flag warning. So that's what we're seeing here today. And this colder air that's coming down from Canada, we see some snow here in central Montana with some much colder air, some snow into North Dakota, and this will continue to filter down. And we're also looking at colder air. As you can see, this first low that went through, this first system has brought down that colder air all the way down into past the Bahamas, past the Keys of Florida. So they have a freeze watch and a freeze warning for all the way down to the tip of Florida for tonight. We'll see that here in a moment as well. So this is what we're looking at. Now I'm going to go over to the National Weather Service page, which is what I was just talking about. This is the freeze. These are this dark purple right here. These are all the freeze warnings, and this is the freeze watch. Now, granted, this is just for a few hours in the morning until it warms up, but still, it's going to be cold down there. I used to live down in South Florida, and so I'm very familiar when this happens in January and sometimes February. So it's not out of the norm for fronts to reach all the way down here. It's kind of refreshing. You kind of get that sense because you're hot most of the year, and it's really nice to get that refreshing cold burst of air that comes through and sort of freshens everything up and wakes up your senses, and then it's cold for a day or two and then it starts to warm back up again. Now up here into eastern Montana, western North and South Dakota, down into northeastern Wyoming, into Nebraska, into northeastern Colorado, into western Kansas, and down here, there's a little bit of a red flag warning here into Colorado as well. But the main crux is the red flag warning that's down here into the Panhandle and down into central Oklahoma. And out ahead of this, not out ahead, but actually it's the backside of it. On this side, we have the winter weather advisories. Now over here in the west, you can see all of these gray boxes. These are air stagnation advisories and dense fog advisories as well, because what I was talking about yesterday, we had that inversion set up where if you want to see some sunshine around this area where the gray boxes are, you're going to have to go up in elevation to the mountains or just up pretty 4,000 or 5,000 feet. And then you're going to see the sunshine and the nice temperatures. And down below, it is right around freezing or below, and it's just gray and very dense fog and that air stagnation because there's not much air movement, and it's just not very pleasant. And so that's going to be at least through tomorrow, maybe perhaps into Saturday as well. So we have that going on. Now I'm going to take us to, this is the European model, which I showed yesterday. It shows the deep, deep point of this colder air coming in. There's still a little bit of this red here, but this is from this morning. Not much. It's pretty close to now. But then as you see, this colder air starts to retreat a little bit. It'll be into South Florida tonight because they have those freeze watches and freeze warnings. But it'll get reinforced. And then this is let me go back a little bit. This is the wind. This is why there's a wind advisory and a high wind warning for this whole area right here. See these closely tight isobars? This is the wind. And as we go forward in time, this reaches all the way down south into Oklahoma, which is why they have the red flag warning. But it's going to be very windy. And it gets very windy in central and eastern Montana. All of these plain type areas, there's nothing impeding it. No mountains in eastern Montana and eastern Wyoming into North and South Dakota. There's some hills, but it's going to be very windy for you all. And then there's this low pressure here that's bringing with it some snow all around, snow, not rain out ahead and front, because of this system that came through last night and this morning and today. It already brought in the cold air. So the cold air is already in place. So we're going to just see system snow here through the day today and tomorrow. And the winds start to subside a bit, but then they get reinforced again as the day moves on, and it just continues a little bit east. So though I expect these high wind warnings to traverse over to the east and then become a part of your reality as we move into North and South Dakota, Nebraska, Iowa, and Minnesota, and into Wyoming as well. So we see this moving forward, and then this cold air digs down south and brings with it that chance. There's still a chance Saturday night into Sunday morning for snow and or ice to develop. This is getting more and more robust and staying in the forecast. So I'm expecting this to come to fruition for the panhandle of Florida into southeastern Georgia and all the way up into South Carolina and even North Carolina. And it looks like on the tail end in the north side, maybe some snow up here on the coastline of Delaware and New Jersey and maybe southern Maryland. So that's going to last through about the noon hour, and then it's going to just be too warm. But again, this is where the boundary line is going to be for the colder air and the warmer, just warmer, not warmer as in 75 degrees warm, but just above freezing perhaps. So that line, when I go back where it shows that purple and pinks, that's going to be the mixed precipitation and or possibly some ice. And then snow to the north because of that boundary line. You can see the blues and the purples to the north and the reds to the south. So that line is going to set up where that rain, snow, mixed precipitation is going to be. So that's going to be interesting. And that, like I said, that's going to happen sometime Saturday night into Sunday morning. So we'll keep an eye on that for sure. And then as we go through, it just continues to be cold out east here. And then the west is a little bit above normal. I'm hoping that I'm thinking that the inversion will start to bust out here over the weekend. But again, there's not really much pushing it out of the way. So we could see that inversion and those temperatures, colder temperatures at the surface and warmer aloft because that's where the sun is, that could hang out and hang on here for a little while. But again, if you're down in Arizona and California, you're liking this pattern right now because the temperatures are pretty nice, it's pretty warm, and the winds are offshore. The Santa Ana winds to California, especially Southern California, not really liking those because that has a tendency to whip up really dry conditions for you all. But it is nice and sunny, so I'm sure everybody is looking forward or liking that. So we'll see that continue for a little while longer. And then we have another system snow coming through around the 19th. That's Monday morning, afternoon to the upper Midwest. And it's really staying in the upper Midwest. But then again, that colder air is still hanging on down here into the southeast, far southeast, and it gets warmer as you head south into Florida, but it's really just hanging in there. And then, like I said, it's still looking like around the 22nd or 23rd, the high pressure that has been dominating, that will be dominating this area right now, is going to start breaking up around the 22nd, 23rd, 24th of January. And I will definitely keep an eye on that. But that is your weather for now. As I mentioned, I will keep updating and keep bringing out posts and videos and keep posting them to all of my socials. But if you're not following me on YouTube, please subscribe to my channel. I'm also on Instagram as Kate Weatherwise, and I'm also on Facebook as Kate Weatherwise as well. So I am trying to get on. I am on TikTok, but I haven't really developed that yet. So and I'm also on X, but I haven't posted there yet either. So my main source is YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram right now, and then I'll continue to branch out. But subscribe, like, share, comment, and turn on the notification bell for when my next video comes out. And that is it for now, and I will be back with more videos. This is Kate Weatherwise saying bye for now.